More than 24 members of a violent gang in Atlanta charged now with breaking into homes and robbing several high-profile athletes and celebrities.
What do these celebrities all have in common? They were all recent victims of home invasions in Atlanta targeted by a local gang.
26 alleged gang members indicted following a series of crimes in the Atlanta area targeting high-profile celebrities.
In a moment, the lives of celebrities can intersect with the dangerous world of gangs, leading to situations straight out of a crime drama. From targeted attacks to harrowing threats, these incidents reveal a side of fame that's far from glamorous. These are the real stories of when public figures found themselves up against the menacing presence of organized crime. Join us as we dive into 10 shocking moments celebrities crossed paths with dangerous gangs. Number 10. Al Capone's birthday at gunpoint. During Prohibition, Fats Waller, a renowned jazz musician, experienced an incident straight out of a gangster movie. While performing at Chicago's Sherman Hall, Waller was suddenly forced at gunpoint into a limousine by men unknown to him. The vehicle transported him to a secretive location where he was presented with an unusual audience, which was Al Capone and his entourage, celebrating Capone's 27th birthday. Waller, under the intense gaze of one of America's most notorious mobsters, was compelled to play. Initially uneasy, Waller's fear gradually subsided as Capone treated him with unexpected kindness, ensuring he was well supplied with whiskey and rewarding each performance with generous tips. The celebration stretched over 3 days, during which Waller, despite the circumstances, entertained the assembly with his music. By the end of this ordeal, Waller returned home significantly richer, his pockets filled with the rewards of his forced but fruitful performance. Number 9. The Beatles and the Krays. In 1960s London, the Kray twins, Ronnie and Reggie, were notorious gangsters controlling much of the city's criminal activities. Their empire stretched into various illegal ventures, including the music industry, setting the stage for a dangerous crossover with the Beatles. The world's most famous band at the time, the Beatles, became a target for the Krays' scheme to extend their influence and possibly launder money through the music business. The connection between the Krays and the Beatles began when the gangsters saw an opportunity to exploit the band's success. Ronnie Kray approached the Beatles' manager, Brian Epstein, proposing a business partnership. However, this offer was mixed with the implicit threat that came with the Krays' reputation for violence and intimidation. Epstein, aware of the potential danger to the band, found himself in a tough situation, navigating the fine line between the Krays' criminal world and the safety of the Beatles. Despite the Krays' intentions, the Beatles managed to avoid deep involvement with the gangsters. However, the incident highlights the risks and challenges that came with their unprecedented popularity. Number 8. Alleged mafia connections. Frank Sinatra, an iconic figure in American music, found himself involved in controversy that seemed more suited to a crime novel than the life of a beloved entertainer. Allegations surfaced that Sinatra had links to the mafia, casting a shadow over his career. Despite Sinatra's denials, these claims persisted, suggesting a complex web of relationships between the singer and organized crime figures. The speculation about Sinatra's mafia connections was not without basis. His associations with known mobsters were well documented, leading to increased scrutiny from the FBI. This attention from the FBI involved detailed investigations into Sinatra's interactions and activities. The rumors intensified when it was suggested that Sinatra attempted to use his mafia connections to influence political outcomes, specifically trying to bridge a connection to the Kennedy White House. Sinatra's alleged ties to the mafia remain a controversial chapter in his career, reflecting the complexities of fame and the potentially dangerous connections it can form. Number 7. Mafia trouble. In the year 2000, Steven Seagal found himself in a real-life action movie scenario, but far from the heroics portrayed on screen. This chapter in Seagal's life began not on a movie set, but in the clutches of the Gambino crime family. They saw Seagal as a profitable target for extortion. Seagal, a martial arts star with a series of action-packed blockbusters under his belt, was confronted by mobsters with a demand to pay up or face the consequences. The confrontation was the culmination of Seagal's association with producer Julius Nasso, who had ties to the Gambino family. Nassau and the mob sought to extort hundreds of thousands of dollars from Siegel, leveraging his movie earnings as their bounty. The threat was clear and present, forcing Siegel into a corner unlike any he had faced in his cinematic encounters. The situation escalated when Siegel was taken by mob associates and presented with an ultimatum. The encounter was tense, filled with the kind of palpable danger that Siegel usually navigated with ease on the silver screen. Ultimately, Siegel's ordeal ended with legal interventions and the eventual arrest of his extortionists.
10 alleged members and associates of the Gambino crime family have been charged in a 16-count indictment in Brooklyn federal court. The defendants were arrested in a coordinated takedown in the U.S. and Italy. They're accused of racketeering, conspiracy, extortion, and witness retaliation.
Siegel's run-in with the mafia remains a sobering reminder of the shadows that lurk behind the camera. Number 6. Criminal Syndicate. On the bustling streets of Hong Kong in the late 1970s, Jackie Chan, a rising star in the Chinese cinema, found himself wound up in a real-life drama that mirrored his action-packed films. The cause of this unexpected turn? His entanglement with the Triad, a notorious Chinese criminal syndicate known for its ruthless operations in drug trafficking, human trafficking, and most importantly, its invasive grip on the movie industry.
我就話嚟到現場，先俾5萬佢哋，跟住每日俾5000，臨拆境嗰日就要俾3萬，如果唔係就燒報警。我覺得好離譜啊！嗰啲人嗰啲樣咧仲係點啊？俾5萬先喎，啊！帶一班人黑社會，你夠唔夠人生口組勁又唔夠，你夠唔夠人？ 黑手黨嘅你又唔夠啊！人哋嗰啲拍戲㗎，你係拍得好有公正㗎嘛？你幾多價錢，我俾你幾多價錢，你係咩期俾我，我咩期俾人哋係照呢個遊戲去玩。有啲人係唔係？你係幾多價錢㗎？你係10萬，我俾你1萬。我仲要日日要有期嘅，呢啲咪唔按住呢個規矩做戲咯？你明唔明白？做又唔係做大嘢喎，係打人2巴啊，打人架車啊，一有事啊，扯咗去啊。
Unlike the Yakuza in Japan, which supported their national film sector, the Triad sought control and extortion, demanding huge fees from producers and not hesitating to wreck movie sets if their demands weren't met. Chan, fresh from the success of hits like Fist of Fury and Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, became a sought-after name, attracting attention from both fans and the menacing underworld. His decision to switch allegiance from producer Lo Wei to Willie Chan infuriated the former, who had connections with the Triad. Retaliation was swift and dangerous. Triad members were sent to physically confront Chan, a move that escalated tensions and marked the beginning of a series of life-threatening encounters. Despite facing such danger, Chan didn't back down. Realizing the influence the Triad had even over the press, he decided to leave for Hollywood, seeking safety and a broader audience for his talent. Yet the Triad wasn't done with him. Upon his return to China for film projects, Chan was ambushed, an attack that signaled the Triad's far-reaching power. But Chan, ever the fighter, prepared himself for any future confrontations. Arming himself with firearms and even grenades, he was ready to defend his life against those who sought to control him through fear and violence. Chan's story of courage against criminal coercion proves his resilience, making him a real-life hero similar to the characters he portrayed on screen. Number 5. Gordon Ramsay's Close Call. In a gripping episode that sounds more like a scene from an intense documentary than a culinary adventure, celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay found himself in the crosshairs of a dangerous situation far from the kitchen. While filming a documentary on the illegal shark finning industry in Costa Rica, Ramsay unintentionally stepped into the dangerous world of a Taiwanese shark fin smuggling gang. His mission to expose the cruel practices of shark finning brought him face to face with the harsh reality of environmental crime.
Hello? Excuse me? Why are you taking them away? Shit. It smells like petrol.
What did he just do?
He's just thrown some shit from the top of the roof over. I've got a sneaky suspicion that every block of flats here, look, are drying out shark fins.
As Ramsay and his crew ventured to document the drying of thousands of shark fins, a confrontation escalated quickly. Thugs, likely linked to the smuggling ring, drenched Ramsay in gasoline, Unaffected, Ramsay made a second attempt to film the illegal operation, only to be met by armed men. The situation reached a peak when local law enforcement intervened, advising Ramsay and his team to leave the country for their safety. Number 4. Al Sharpton's FBI deal. In the 1980s, Al Sharpton found himself entangled in a web of criminal associations that could have derailed his burgeoning career in activism and politics. His connections with various New York street gangs and notorious crime families, notably the Genovese family, placed him in a vulnerable position. Sharpton's involvement ranged from the murky to the outright dangerous, including a failed attempt to extort money from the Jacksons during their victory tour. The turning point came when Sharpton received a life-threatening call from a mysterious figure, pushing him into the arms of the FBI for protection. This alliance birthed Operation C7, marking Sharpton's transformation into an informant. Under this new guise, Sharpton aided in the takedown of several key figures in the Genovese crime family, utilizing a bugged briefcase to record incriminating conversations. Sharpton's dual role as a civil rights activist and FBI informant is an illustration of the complex interplay between crime and justice in New York's tumultuous 1980s. His actions helped dismantle a significant portion of the Genovese family's operations, albeit under the shadowy mantle of informant CI7. Number 3. Edward James Olmos and American Me. In 1992, Edward James Olmos's role as director and star of American Me, a film portraying the harsh realities of Chicano gang life in Los Angeles, took a dangerous turn when it sparked the anger of the Mexican mafia. The film's unflinching depiction of gang culture and prison life, particularly its portrayal of the Mexican mafia's founding members, led to severe real-life consequences for Olmos. The Mexican mafia, displeased with their representation and the liberties the film took with factual events, notably a scene suggesting the rape of a gang leader, issued a warning to Olmos. This threat was not taken lightly, considering the gang's notorious reputation for violence both inside and outside prison walls. Olmos's attempts to navigate this dangerous situation involved seeking protection through a concealed weapon permit, a request that was ultimately denied, leaving him to confront the danger without governmental support. The tension escalated when 2 consultants on the film were murdered. Number 2. The Rolling Stones. On December 6, 1969, at the Altamont Speedway in Northern California, the Rolling Stones concert, intended as a peaceful event, turned into a night of chaos and violence, marking a dark day in music history. The band had hired the Hells Angels motorcycle gang for security, a decision that would have disastrous consequences. The atmosphere, charged with tension from the outset due to the Angels' heavy drinking and aggressive behavior, spiraled out of control as the concert progressed.
What happened here anyway?
Yeah, he pulled out a gun.
He did?
Yes, the Hells Angels took the gun away from him. One of them has it now, he showed it to me. And they proceeded to put him down on the ground and start kicking him. And he has a couple stab wounds in his back and one over his ear. Tried to keep him alive, and when we got here, the doctor checked him out, and that was it.
Pronounced him dead and seriously funny.
I want him to die. Don't let him die.
He won't die. No, they're gonna do everything in their power.
But he can't hear his heart.
No, don't worry about it.
The situation reached a tragic climax when Meredith Hunter, an 18-year-old audience member brandishing a gun, was fatally stabbed by a Hells Angel in a confrontation that shocked the world. The incident, captured in chilling detail on film, emphasized the dangerous mix of rock music, drugs, and violence. In the aftermath, Mick Jagger, the Stones' lead singer, and the band faced intense scrutiny and condemnation for their role in hiring the Hells Angels, revealing the unforeseen dangers of combining the counterculture with volatile elements of society. Number 1. Jimi Hendrix's kidnapping. In 1969, Jimi Hendrix, the iconic guitarist, became the unexpected victim of a kidnapping that reads more like a script from a thriller than a chapter in rock history. Following a performance in Seattle, Hendrix was lured away under the guise of a party. Instead, he found himself held captive by 2 men linked to organized crime, aiming to leverage his fame for their gain. These individuals, exploiting Hendrix's quest for drugs as an enticement, held him for 2 days, immersing him in a drug-induced haze to maintain compliance and obscure their intentions. The ordeal, bizarrely overlooked by the mainstream media at the time, came to light through the confessions of involved parties and subsequent investigations. The kidnapper's demand was not for a ransom, but rather for control over Hendrix's contractual obligations. The episode left a deep mark on Hendrix's psyche and highlighted the vulnerabilities artists faced in an age where fame made them targets for exploitation. These incidents shed light on the unexpected clashes between celebrities and the criminal underworld, emphasizing the unpredictability and danger lurking behind the scenes of fame. It raises the question, how would you react in the face of such unexpected danger? Check out the video on the screen now. Also comment, like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos.